You told me earlier this week that you'd waited for Rachel Kent since she was in 4th grade. What are you going to miss about her? You told me this team loves each other. How do you get a group of guys like this to love each other this way? EJ, I saw you getting emotional with about a minute left on the bench there. Can you put this into words? The seniors on their team, how have they set the groundwork for this program moving forward? What did Coach say? I saw him give you a hug as you walked off. What did he tell you? You're a senior, a captain, a 4-year starter. What has this team meant to you?
Hey guys, I'm here with Anthony Gibson, our player of the game tonight. Anthony, a hat trick for you. 3 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns. How much fun was tonight's game?
You guys seem to capitalize on every single one of Anoka's mistakes tonight. What was clicking defensively? You told me the other day that the guys have a special name for you because you're always at practice, always hanging out with the team. What is that?
Little Mike.
They call you Little Mike? What do you think they need to do tonight to win?
Play how they've been playing all year.
How is that?
Spread the floor and make shots.
Lost this game last year. Now you're playing for a state title. What's the motivation been all season? So I have to ask you, Lance, have you ever seen Blake shoot like this? Coach, 11 points off turnovers tonight. What do you like defensively? I don't know if you've seen it all, but the Evanston bench has been quite excited throughout the game. In fact, they call themselves the Liddy Committee because they need to light it up for their team from the bench. Now, these guys have over 40 choreographed dances. So there are 2 different things written on the shoes of these Rockford East players. The first is H+H. It's their motto for the season. It means to stay hungry and humble. And the next thing is H4H, and that means hoop for hill. Every year, this Maine West team picks a new motto or theme for the season, and this year, that's Waka Papa. It's a concept with its origins in New Zealand, and it means you are only as good as those who came before you. This Evanston team defines themselves this year as a brotherhood. This all came about after they had a bad practice earlier in the season. These teams told me earlier this week that they've been locked in all season long, focusing on getting to this night. And when they say they've been locked in, they really mean it. Or head coach Lou Adams actually takes his players' phones away on game days. The guys told me they'd walk into school and Adams would have a bucket that they'd put their phone in, and then they'd get it back once the game was over. He wanted them focusing just on basketball. Guys, Buffalo head coach Todd Bauman has been pretty relaxed on the sidelines throughout this whole game. And you guys mentioned earlier that he had a long NFL career, 6 years with the Vikings, but he always said that he envisioned being a high school coach when that was over. And that opportunity came in 2010 at Pipestone High School in southern Minnesota. He was the offensive coordinator there. And when this job here at Buffalo opened up in 2014, he knew that this was the place he wanted to be, and he's been here ever since. And tonight is a special night because it's the last time he will coach his son Aiden on this Buffalo home field. Earlier this week, we talked to Anoka head coach Bo Wazrick and asked him to give his team a letter grade to rate them on this season so far. And he gave them a C, but he said we're so close to being an A team. So we just need to do the little things right. And so far, offensively, I think they would like to get that turnover back, but defensively, on Maple Grove's first drive down the field, forced them into a missed field goal. And on the second drive, got the stop on 4th down. And so they're doing those little things right tonight and trying to climb that letter grade to the A mark. Centennial is a team that made it to the state tournament for the first time last season, and head coach Jeff Otteson said that created an impressive commitment level by his guys in the offseason. They only lost 2 seniors from last year's team, and they returned their top goal scorer in Demetrius Bernardi Nelson. And so, guys, they're looking for a similar situation to last year and a repeat trip to the state tournament. So after each of the touchdowns, players on both teams sprinted to their sidelines and straight to the TV that they have on the sidelines. And that TV has the technology to review plays in real time. And neither team reviewed the scoring play, but they did review each play leading up to that point to see what they could do better and how to execute better. Rockford East switched to a zone in that second quarter, 3-2, to try and slow them down a bit, but it didn't really work. What do they need to do coming out in the second half? We heard Curie head coach Mike Oliver at halftime say he needs to make a few adjustments defensively. What do you expect to see from them in this next half? Mother McCauley has also, though, been turning the ball over quite a bit. What do they need to fix on offense? And now Mother McCauley, a little bit smaller, but very quick. How has their speed played to their advantage in this first half? Hello and welcome back to to Medill Sports Talk and welcome into another episode of On the Block. I'm Kate Constable, joined today by Louis Ricard, and it was a huge week in the NBA. So Louis, let's talk some free agency. Last Sunday was one for the books with some of the game's biggest names making moves. We have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to Brooklyn, Al Horford to Philly, and Julius Randle to the Knicks. So I'm going to ask you this, who are your winners so far? Yeah, and Louis, I really like JJ Redick there. He adds a lot of veteran leadership to that young locker room, which will be really good for those guys as they kind of develop in their careers. Well, as far as my winner, Brooklyn is my winner. I know DeAndre Jordan and KD are friends, so that creates a lot of great chemistry in the locker room starting out. And I also think it's a good fit for Kyrie. He can go back to being that Robin to KD as Batman, and that takes care of a lot of the leadership issues that he showed in Boston. So as soon as KD is back and healthy, I think the Nets are the team to beat. Have you ever seen LeBron James look sad, depressed, or anxious before a game? What about Tom Brady or Ronda Rousey? Probably not. That's because when you think of the characteristics of an elite athlete, you think of someone who is dedicated, strong, and mentally tough. And while all those things are true, they're also part of the reason that mental health issues are too often ignored in sports. Good afternoon and welcome to Rocky Bernice Miller Park. I'm Kate Constable alongside Chris Cadeau. Thank you for joining us for this Big Ten matchup this afternoon between Northwestern and the visiting Nebraska Cornhuskers. The Wildcats looking for their first series sweep since back in early April. That was against Ohio State, but a lot of offensive production for them in this series so far. So, Chris, who are you looking towards today for Northwestern to keep things going? Yeah, I think he completely lost this one. I mean, he wanted to get a large contract that kind of portrayed him as this dual threat player, and he didn't get that at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with how the market is right now. There weren't many teams going after him, and so the Jets didn't have to bid against anyone else. There's no such thing as an athlete who doesn't face some sort of adversity, some just more apparent than others. But like anything in life, if you look hard enough, you can always find a silver lining. I sat down with Red Wing native Ryan Bolt this week and learned that that's exactly what he did. Casson Manorville was the first area high school to install artificial turf on its football fields. Now schools like Mayo and Triton are following suit. ABC Sports Director Caleb Ostrander spoke with area coaches to find out why.